Miss Anderson,
Here.
Miss Dawson,
Here.
Miss Harrington,
Here.
Miss Quintern, Mr. Rickett.
Here.
Madam Chair, the clerk certifies a quorum.
May I stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there any adjustments to the agenda?
No, ma'am.
May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
May I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Motion carries. All right. We'll move on to closed session certification. Ms. Dawson, please.
Pursuant to 2.2-3711A of the Code of Virginia, the Orange County School Board will convene a closed meeting for the following: discussion of personnel or the performance of a division employee as authorized by Section 2.2-3711A1 of the Code of Virginia for resignation, termination, transfer, employment, salary adjustment, and retirement of employees and the superintendent's evaluation. Also, consultation with legal counsel employed or retained by the school board regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by such counsel as authorized by Section 2.2-3711A8 of the Code of Virginia.
May I have a second?
I second that.
All those in favor by saying aye? Aye. We're in closed session.
Till 7? For an hour.
This is legal first. Then you'll be ready. Then I go. Yep. Yeah. How's Justin tonight?
I'm a little high strung tonight, apparently.
Okay.
But happy birthday.
Thank you. It's your birthday? Yes. Happy birthday.
closed session certification, please.
Whereas the Orange County School Board has convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and whereas 2.2-3712D of the Code of Virginia requires certification by this school board that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law, now therefore be it resolved that the Orange County School Board hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, 1, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed, and 2, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered.
May I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Byram, may I have roll call, please?
Mrs. Anderson,
Aye.
Mrs. Dawson,
Aye.
Ms. Harrington,
Aye.
Mr. Rickett.
Aye.
Madam Chair, the clerk certifies the vote as follows: 4 yes votes, no votes, with 1 member absent. The resolution is approved by a 4-0 vote.
Thank you. Deposition of personnel actions, Dr. Horning.
Yes, ma'am. Recommend approval of the personnel actions as presented in closed session.
Make a motion to approve the personnel agenda, including resignation, employment, and transfer of staff, and coaching appointments.
May I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Also move to approve the appeal, EP 001. Our motion is to uphold the superintendent's decision.
May I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Motion carries. Welcome, everyone. I'm moving on to public comment. I will open public comment regarding the operating budget, 25-26 school year. I have, sorry. Too many papers. I will start off with, the Orange County School Board recognizes the importance of maintaining a respectful and orderly environment during school board meetings. Therefore, we kindly request that all comments made are relevant to the field of pre-K through 12 public education and pertain to the matters concerning the school board and division. We ask that individuals refrain from using offensive language, engaging in vulgar or profane behavior, or making comments or taking action that might incite violence or disrupt the peace. Unless otherwise authorized by the chair, each speaker is allotted a maximum of 3 minutes to express their views. To uphold decorum, we kindly request that applause, noise making, or any other disruptive behavior be avoided before, during, and after a member of the public addresses the board. It is important to note that public comment is intended for addressing the school board, and therefore comments should be directed solely towards the board members. Furthermore, it is expected that board members will refrain from engaging in dialogue with the speakers during this time, as it is an opportunity for the board to actively listen to the thoughts, concerns, and feedback of the public. Any conduct that violates this established decorum and order as determined by the chair or their designee may result in disciplinary action, including potential expulsion from the meeting. Alternatively, written comments may be submitted to board members via email. It is crucial to emphasize that these guidelines are not intended to restrict freedom of speech, but rather to ensure effective communication between the public and their public servants. We eagerly anticipate your valuable contributions and feedback. Thank you. Do we have anybody sign up? Ms. Byram.
Yes, ma'am. We have 5 speakers for the public hearing. The first 2 are Brianna Hoover and Michael Howie.
Good evening. My name is Brianna Hoover, and I've had the privilege of teaching at Orange County High School for 18 years. During this time, I've also served as a mentor and instructional coach for new hires. I'd like to speak to you today not about what teachers deserve, but what our students deserve. You're going to hear all about the numbers in Dr. Hornick's presentation and how he is battling for us merely to be in the middle. Average, not at the top, just average. I want to go outside the numbers and talk about the people you have entrusted to teach your children. Many of you have held positions that require leadership skills. For example, take Mr. Rickett and his small business here in town. Imagine he needs to hire a new associate to sell his tractors. But because his offering salary is one of the lowest in the area, he struggles to attract the best candidates. As a result, Mr. Rickett ends up hiring someone with no experience in sales or knowledge of the product. Despite this, he invests time and effort into training new hires. However, after months of hard work on Mr. Rickett's part, the person quits because they just can't grasp the job, or even worse, the person gains all the knowledge Mr. Rickett has to offer and then leaves to go to work for another company paying more money. Now, instead of selling tractors, imagine this person I'm referring to is teaching your child. They have no background in education. As a mentor, I give everything I can to support them while balancing my own teaching responsibilities. This year alone, the high school had over 20 new teachers. That's 20 teachers, many of them unprepared for the challenges of the classroom. And this is the third consecutive year we've seen more than 20 new hires. Please take a moment to reflect on this. Imagine training a new person year after year, depleting all of your energy to help them succeed with the ultimate goal of ensuring student success. This level of effort cannot be sustained long-term, and the constant turnover only contributes to a fragmented, non-cohesive work environment. For veteran teachers like myself, we see no return value in giving our all to help mentor these teachers if they continue to leave year after year. The simple reason for this is that we cannot attract highly qualified candidates with the current salary structure, so we have a lot of career switchers who have taken 0 education classes. As my colleagues here can attest, there is more to teaching than just knowledge of the material, and it takes time and support to become a true educator. We as teachers deserve a raise. There is no doubt about it. You know it, and we know it. The question is, are you going to fight for what our students deserve? And that is to be taught by highly qualified educators. Thank you.
I believe it is imperative that the proposed budget is passed. The investment will serve the children, community, and employees of Orange County Public Schools. Hello, Board. My name is Michael Howie. I'm a teacher here at Orange County High School. I've been a member of the community since 2019. My family and I live in Gordonsville. My wife, Jamie Lee Ursitawi, grew up in Orange County and graduated from Orange County High School. She also teaches with me at the high school. Her family has deep roots in the community. Her mother and sister and father were all educators at Orange County High School. Her mother and sister are also graduates of Orange County High School. I've been a teacher here for 10 years and student taught at Locust Grove and Orange County High School before my employment. The reasons I fell in love with Orange are the family feel, the great staff, the students, and strong community traditions. I chose to dedicate my time, money, and to start a life here in Orange County. I coached the swim team for 8 years, built curriculum for the high school, helped with faculty tailgates, and participated in town events. I built a family here. I got married in Orange, live in Gordonsville, pay taxes here, and I have kids that will go through the school system. I'm deeply invested in this community and the success of this school system. Why do we need this budget? Why is it important? Do we need to spend that much? Those are all questions the board and community might be asking. This budget is an investment in our community's most important members, our community's children. Schools help prepare kids for the future, but they also help the community and society at large. Children who have access to the best teachers who bring professionalism, charisma, and investment into the community help those kids pay it back when they are adults through businesses, community involvement, and tax revenue. The proposed budget would help in the following ways. Recruitment. With a more updated pay scale, Orange will be a more competitive school district and would attract quality professional teachers. They would see Orange as a top tier or first choice rather than a backup school district or a stepping stone. Orange has often been a stepping stone school district where there are many teachers and administrators who will start work here for a while and then leave for counties with better pay and benefits. Teachers leaving leads to a loss of talent, knowledge, and county investment the county spent on those teachers, such as AP, dual enrollment, and other trainings. Retainment. With teachers constantly leaving, it creates instability, shortages, and knowledge gaps. We need to incentivize, invest, and reward staff that stays and invests their time, energy, and livelihoods in this community. Investing in teachers and school faculty builds a culture of educational excellence and professionalism. If we invest and retain quality educational staff and faculty staff, it will promote competitive, stable, and innovative schools. This budget is necessary for the growth, health, and advancement of the community. Passing the proposed budget would reflect that Orange County values and invests in its children, public service, citizens, and future. Thank you.
The next two speakers are Mary Somar and John Ivywood.
Good evening, Board. I'm Mary Somar. This is my 11th year teaching and my 11th year in Orange County High School. In Orange County, my 4th year at the high school, 7 years at the middle schools. I come from a slightly different perspective. I'm not from Orange. I'm not even from Virginia. Orange County first was you offered me a job, so I said yes. And it quickly became home. I am invested in the community and my students, but my personal life has taken me to Charlottesville. I don't live in Orange. I spend a lot of time in Orange after school supporting our students in athletics and in music, but my ties are in Charlottesville. And as a teacher, I will echo all of the things. It is so hard to see 20 new teachers every year and to watch them struggle because they are not the most prepared, because we are not teachers' first choice. It is hard on the teachers, it is hard on the mentors, it's hard on the students to get a teacher who's not prepared or have a teacher leave halfway through the year. And as a teacher who lives in Charlottesville, who can throw a rock basically and hit a school where she would make $15,000 more, depending on what we're looking at for scales. I'm here because I love my students and I love this community, and I think that this community is valuable. And I think that I offer a unique perspective not being from here. I like the diversity that our teachers from other parts of the state and the country offer to our students. But at some point, the love and investment in the community is not going to outweigh financial stability in the future. Whether you want to start a family, whether you are paying off debts of whatever, whether you want to go to grad school, whether you need to care for an elderly parent. As working professionals, we care about our students, but we also have to take care of our own families. And it has come to the point that these are the decisions that our teachers are making. We want to invest in our students. They are, like Mr. Howie said, the future of this county, the future employers, the future business people, the future doctors, what have you. And they deserve quality teachers who want to be able to invest their time in this community, who love and cherish the growth that they've had as teachers and community members with their students and with the staff at their schools. So I appreciate Dr. Hornick so much and the work that he has done to propose a budget that gives these teachers and the students what they deserve. And I hope you will consider that and pass the budget. Thank you.
Good evening to the board. My name is John Ivywood. I'm department head for the OCHS English department. I teach 10th grade honors, a college board approved section of advanced placement, English literature and composition, one of the 12th grade honors tracks, and just recently brought back a creative writing class to OCHS after an unfortunate 8-year absence and with a newly revitalized curriculum. I made that happen by taking it on as a fourth block, foregoing the period commonly set aside for planning and grading. I'm also a lead facilitator for students working to pass the Work Keys writing test and thereby earn a graduation credit. I'm doing that during what would otherwise be the block reserved for planning and grading. I'm the current junior class sponsor and prom advisor. I'm a regular participant in summer curricular revision and a summer school teacher. I stay after school on Fridays to simultaneously sponsor and support the student-led environmental club and to offer tutoring and remediation. I monitor Saturday school unless I'm proctoring an SAT examination and use that as yet another window to provide remediation and high-intensity tutoring. Not all of those responsibilities come with extra pay. Some of them are simply part of my job as department head, but quite a few of them do, and that's why I've jumped at the chance to take them on. Recently, after I sent out an email to staff and faculty introducing myself as junior class sponsor and prom advisor and asking for volunteers to serve on the prom committee, one of my colleagues asked me, "John, how much more are you going to take on, man?" "As much as I can," is what I told her. The truth is I've applied for part-time work as a scorer for Pearson Higher Ed. Years ago, while teaching anatomy and physiology and kinesiology at Centura College, I served as a contributing editor for both Pearson and Wiley. Hopefully I've gotten in. Hopefully I'll get the gig. I know teachers who work part-time in restaurants, and I've known teachers who wrapped up their day by driving one of the school buses. To wrap up, here are just a few of the many reasons why it's important to increase teacher salaries in Orange County. Reducing burnout. Many teachers leave the profession due to burnout. My mentor left the profession due to burnout, and inadequate pay is often cited as a contributing factor. Offering higher salaries would help alleviate financial stress and keep teachers in the profession longer. On that tip, longer careers. Better pay can encourage teachers to remain in the classroom for a longer duration, which means students benefit from the experience and expertise of seasoned educators. In conclusion, by raising teacher salaries, Orange County acknowledges the importance of education in creating a healthy, thriving community and makes the call to do right by its educators. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your consideration. If this were one of the persuasive essays that I coach my 10th graders up ahead of writing the dreaded end-of-course writing SOL test, I'd remind them that it's in your conclusion paragraph that you're meant to add in a call to action. I tell them that the call to action should answer the question, so what? Your readers made it to the end of your essay, and if you've written a good one, hopefully you've done a tolerably good job making your point and persuading the reader. But what do you want them to do about it? So, how about this? Help us. Come to our leadership meetings. Have our backs. Defend our right to teach. Human society and culture have had an ongoing history of suppressing knowledge and suppressing what people could read, dating back to well before 48 BCE, when Julius Caesar's forces set fire to the Egyptian fleet as it lay at anchor, and the library at Alexandria burned.
Thank you.
The final speaker during the public hearing is Laura Daniel. Okay, I don't see her.
All right, we will close the public hearing and open up regular public comment. Ms. Byram.
Okay. And Ms. Daniel was also the first speaker for general public comment, so just make sure she's not here. And the two remaining speakers for public comment are Shimei Bright and Alyssa Waller.
Hello, my name is Shimei Bright. I'm the mother of the student who was called a racial slur by a peer, then victimized by an Orange County High School teacher on Thursday, March 6th of 25. My child has been called the N-word at least every school year since we moved here, his 6th grade year. As my son said, this time it was different. Picture this, multiple students waiting in the area to get on the bus. Per my son, it was a lot of joking and even some vulgar language. One of his peers yelled, "Oh, there's an N-word," looking directly at my son. My child got really upset and they started to argue. When the teacher came over to de-escalate the situation, she asked what happened. My son frantically told her, "I was called an N-word." He explained the teacher looked at him and said, "You deserve it because you're arguing and cursing." My child deserves to be called a racial slur because he was arguing with someone who called him a racial slur. From the standpoint of a parent, someone with morals, and also a person who has done therapeutic day treatment counseling in Orange County schools, I can't see how this is okay, and this is an issue for me. I have spoken to the school multiple times, and I'm not satisfied with their efforts. If this teacher feels my child deserves to be subjected to this type of hate, how can she fairly teach Black students without any bias? This makes me uncomfortable sending my 2 Black children to Orange County High School. My child said verbatim, "I don't feel safe at school." The way she looked at me, I knew she meant what she said. She has now stripped him of his innocence. He now sees the world differently. Not because a peer called him a racial slur, but because someone who was supposed to protect him victimized him. This is discrimination. The school interviewed multiple witnesses and even a teacher, which aligned with my child's story. I was informed by Mr. Price that it was now a personnel issue, which I was satisfied with that. But then 2 days later, I received a call asking if I could meet with the teacher today and hear her side of the story, meaning this morning. I declined because she had already made a statement which was found not true. How will the teacher learn if she receives no consequences? How is the school preparing teachers for culturally responsive teaching? If the teachers don't understand diverse backgrounds and create an inclusive environment, we will never be one. It is time for a change.
Greetings, everyone. As I missed February's meeting and the opportunity to share something for Black History Month, I would be remiss if I didn't take this moment to acknowledge the intersection of Black History Month, Women's History Month, and National Ethics Awareness Month. National Ethics Awareness Month serves as a reminder for individuals and organizations to reflect on their ethical standards and behaviors. It is a call to action, encouraging us all to evaluate our actions, make necessary improvements, and commit to integrity in all aspects of our lives. March is also Women's History Month, and this year's theme, Moving Forward Together, Women Educating and Inspiring Generations, highlights the immeasurable contributions women have made throughout history to advance society. One such woman is Dorothy Irene Height, born on March 24, 1912, in Richmond, Virginia. She later moved to Rankin, Pennsylvania, where she excelled as a student and earned a scholarship to attend college. In 1929, she was admitted to Barnard College, but was denied entry because the school did not admit African Americans. Undeterred, she pursued higher education at New York University, earning both a bachelor's in education and a master's in psychology. Height began her career as a social worker in Harlem before joining the Young Women's Christian Association, better known as the YWCA, where she quickly rose to leadership. She played a pivotal role in integrating WYCA facilities nationwide and creating diverse programs. On August 28, 1963, she took her place on the speaker stage at the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. Over the years, she was a trusted advisor to Eleanor Roosevelt, Dwight D. Eisenhower, and Lyndon B. Johnson. Just as Dr. Height dedicated her life to creating a better future, we too have a responsibility to shape a better tomorrow for the next generation. This is a collective effort, and our school system plays a vital role. Schools can embrace ethics awareness while also promoting the rich history of women and Black leaders. A wonderful example of this was Gordon Barber's second graders, who recently brought history to life through a remarkable live wax museum highlighting inspiring individuals. Additionally, as we celebrate these legacies, we must recognize the backbone of education are our teachers. I urge further discussions on retaining and supporting our teachers through continued efforts for pay increases, providing additional support so planning periods aren't spent covering for absent colleagues, ensuring work-life balance so teachers aren't spending weekends at school instead of with their families, refocusing on curriculum over excessive meetings that do not produce effective change. Lastly, I want to acknowledge Dr. Hornick and the leadership team for their dedication. Your recent support for PHMS is commendable and serves as a model for effective leadership. These times have been challenging, but as my school board representative reminded me, leadership requires presence and perseverance, even when it feels overwhelming. If we continue working together for the student, faculty, and staff, I truly believe our strategic planning will bear fruit. Thank you.
And there are no more speakers.
Thank you. Public comments now closed. Moving on to recognitions. Dr. Hornick?
Yes, ma'am. I believe Mr. Price. You want to come forward, sir?
Good evening, board members. I have the honor and privilege of having an outstanding young student with me, as well as one of our outstanding educators at Orange County High School here. And I would like to turn it over to Mr. Crystal to explain to you some of the remarkable things that our student has done.
Good evening. I'm Robert Crystal. I'm the director of drama at Orange County High School. This is my 11th year. For the last 3 years, we've been competing in a program called the English Speaking Union International Monologue Competition. And this year, we sent the school champion to compete at the American Shakespeare Center, competed on stage against multiple people from all over the state, and Lyra Day Tusing came out with a near perfect score to represent Virginia at the National English Speaking Union competition at the Lincoln Center in New York City in late April. A couple things about her is she has stepped in this year, came in with such fire. We've really worked this year on analyzing text. We even got to meet with a playwright last year to discuss how to do that better. And so we've been really going through and understanding everything that we can about it. And she stepped up after performing admirably. We advanced in our Shakespeare show in the VHSL One Act competition. Then she immediately turned around to win the school competition against roughly 10 other students with a perfect score at the school level, added a sonnet at the state level, and won there with a near perfect score. 2 out of 3 judges gave her a perfect score. She will be, she's been invited to New York City in late April to represent not only Orange County, but Charlottesville branch and all of Southern and Western Virginia. She's been invited to work with professors from Juilliard, as well as professional Broadway actors throughout that weekend, and then compete nationally on Monday the 28th. And I would be remiss if I didn't also mention that it's Theater in Our Schools Month, and you can see Lyra further in Once Upon a Mattress, which is The Princess and the Pea, in the first weekend of May at Orange County High School. But with that, Lyra's been amazing. I'm so thankful to be working with her and all the other students. I could not say enough nice things, so I'll just end with that, congratulations.
Would it be too much? Would it be too much if is this putting you on the spot? If you could give us?
Yes, I certainly can.
But please, the stage is yours. And by the way, congratulations. That's outstanding.
Thank you so much. I will perform my sonnet that I've chosen for this last competition that I will also be competing in New York City. For anyone interested, it is Sonnet 29. When in disgrace with fortune and men's eyes, I all alone beweep my outcast state, and trouble deaf heaven with my bootless cries, and look upon myself and curse my fate. Wishing me like to one more rich in hope, featured like him with friends possessed, desiring this man's art and that man's scope, with what I most enjoy contented least. Yet, in these thoughts myself almost despising, happily I think on thee, and then my state, like to the lark at break of day arising from sullen earth, sings hymns at heaven's gate. For thy sweet love remembered such wealth brings, that then I scorn to change my state with kings. Thank you.
That was terrific. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's incredible. Incredible. That's all for this evening, right?
And good luck.
Yes.
Good luck.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I wouldn't want to be your competition, I
No.
can tell you that.
Anyone else?
No, ma'am, that's it.
Okay. I don't have any announcements, so we'll move on to the consent agenda. Minutes, financial reports. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the September 9th, September 23rd, October 8th, October 21st, and November 18th, 2024 minutes, the February 2025 financial report, the monthly school nutrition fund report, and the February 2025 operating bills.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. And then moving on to action items. Dr. Horn.
Yes, ma'am. We have a host of field trips, and a number of our sponsors are here this evening if you have any questions about any of them in particular. But we would really like to get your approval for a number of these groups to head on about the state and otherwise for these opportunities.
Is there any questions for, we have, was there 5? Did I count 5? 2, 3, 4, 5, no, 6.
We have 8.
7. I keep scrolling, sorry. If there is no motion, or if there is no questions, can I have a motion, please?
I will motion to approve.
May I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Good luck with everyone.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Next is an item that Dr. Honaker brought forward a few weeks back. This is to add another group to our list of approved exchange student programs. Renee is here if you have any further questions. But if possible, we would love to have your approval to add this program to the foreign exchange approved list.
Is there any questions? I have a motion.
Move to approve foreign exchange student program.
I have a second.
Second.
All those in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
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 Thank you. All right.
Great job, Renee.
Yep, thank you very much. That is helpful. And then next, I did see Heidi. Miss Laura's here. And this is a grant budget. Again, as you can see, it's in its second year on a continuation through, I believe this is year 2 of 5, correct?
You're 3 of 5.
Going into 3, okay.
Yes.
And Ms. Laura's here to talk a little bit more about this, and we have this, we can certainly move on it this evening, but we are seeking approval at the next meeting so that we don't put too much pressure on the board.
Okay, super.
Go ahead, Heidi.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Hornick. Thank you. You have seen at least one slide multiple times in the main budget of Head Start. It is $1,777,861. It's an additional approximately $70,000 more than we received last year. We will be putting all of that funding into personnel and fringe, just to keep up with that. And I think, yes, thank you, Ms. Byram. There you go. Our annual budget, you see, is broken down. The $1.7 million is broken down into Head Start and Early Head Start and the non-federal share. Personnel and fringe, of course, take up most of the budget. The other parts of the budget we've divided into medical needs, field trip needs, technology needs. Contractual is there because we have to have a mental health consultant and a behavior specialist consultant contracted with every year, so we have that. The training and technical assistance, the TTA, as it is referred to on the first page, those numbers are for CPR, first aid, MAT, which is medical assistance training, curriculum, our database, and those numbers have not changed in the last 5 years. So over the last 2 grant seasons, that money has not increased at all. A total of $419,870 is what is at the bottom of the non-federal share on that slide. Nope, it's not. You have $368,000. That is not including the in-kind that I have to seek out from the rest of the county as community partners. So we volunteer, we communicate and collaborate with the Lake of the Woods Lions Club, Lake of the Woods Lionesses Club, who are very generous in giving to us. Other private schools donate to us. For example, Grimes gives us a donation of about $1,200 in books every year, which is greatly appreciated. We help our families expend and use those books that expand their libraries at home. Local churches give to us all the time in the community. Insurance agencies, Mason Insurance Company here in Orange County is a donor of us, and for us. And Aerojet Rocketdyne, that is in Orange and Culpeper, are huge donors with food and holiday gifts at the holidays. So those are just some of the examples of our in-kind that I seek out, in addition to what you give. This includes 164 students in Head Start and Early Head Start. Are there any questions? Thoughts?
Would have anything?
Nope.
Would we like to?
May I ask just quickly, relative to your contractual requirements for your behavior specialist?
Behavior specialists and
those just specifically part-time contracted positions, or do you use any of our county resources?
I don't use your county resources because Head Start requires us to have contracts or MOUs with other agencies, so I seek outside.
Okay.
And those, I also have to use those for the mental health, for example, the mental health contract, MOU. We have to also use those for parent. If a parent has an issue we need to address, the child and or my staff. So if my staff has a mental health need or concern, we cover that as well.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. And see those cute pictures? Cute pictures.
Say move to approve the Early Head Start continuation grant. Make a motion.
I would second that motion.
All those in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you for all you do.
Thank you. Thanks so much for
Terrific
supporting
program,
us. Thank you so much.
Obviously.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. I think last this evening on my list for action items is approval, seeking your approval so that we can get this to our the county supervisors. The information that you will see on this presentation is a little bit different than the information that you would have seen at our last meeting. The reason is two reasons. Number one, I found an error that we had to correct. We had the correct debt service amount for the bus lease. We are seeking an 8th bus this year to support our special needs programming, and that was correct on the debt service side, but we failed to add that to the expenditure side. So that is a difference of $158,696. So that's pales in comparison to the difference that you will see on the revenue side. Since we last met, the General Assembly has completed their work and has sent a budget, basically now awaiting the governor's approval. And with that work came a new Virginia calc tool. And we were in receipt of, Lisa, help me, somewhere around okay, so around $1 million more in state funding. And so those updated revenues would be seen here. Let's go, Laura, let's go ahead and just go down to, let's say this, what's the best one to show? Oh, yeah, we'll just go through the whole thing. Let's go to the top, Laura. Yep, we'll just walk right back through this. Things that are unchanged in the second slide, the new positions that we know that we are going to need, as well as in the third slide. Those continue. There is no change. In the next slide, again, we are hoping that health insurance does not go up 15%. That's we have budgeted for it to plan for it. We are hoping that we see far less than 15%. I would say that 5% for dental is probably pretty accurate. And you can see that we want to make sure that we have a base of a 3% pay raise across the board. However, we have, in addition to the teacher pay, which our educators this evening have so eloquently spoken to, we have a number of other classifications that are woefully behind. For instance, instructional assistants, custodians. Our custodians, they have a starting salary still today as we speak under $15 an hour. That is not acceptable or livable. Our building level secretaries, they are starting at less than $15 an hour. Our high school students can return carts at Target and Walmart for $15 an hour. And our food service employees, again, that will be a little bit different. That will be included within the presentation, as that is a self-funded program that isn't on the operating budget. But we wanted to make sure that all of those groups got above that $15, at or above that $15 an hour starting pay. And so, for instance, our custodians, I think, Yvonne, correct me, was this $17.50, I can't remember. $16 an hour. And for building secretaries? $17.50. All right, look it up so I can come back to it and get it right in the end. As we move down through, budget priorities have increased funding. Costs have gone up across the board, and so we have our increased funding. The big number comes into our teacher salary, and Ms. Hoover spoke to it. The level investment that it's going to take us to get ourselves comfortably in the middle demonstrates how woefully behind we are across the board. And so I will remind the board that what we did here is we took a look at a 8 school division comparison: Albemarle, Culpeper, Fauquier, Greene, Louisa, Madison, Spotsy, and Stafford, and then us. And we found the median of that market where it stands currently. What we know is that median is not going to be the median next year, because all of these school divisions are going to be doing at least 3%, because that is what is called for in the state budget. And so we took the median and added 7% at every step, and then did some additional manipulation of the numbers. And we had to do that so that, between step 0 and 1, we didn't want it where you get, a $1,500 pay raise, and then between step 1 and 2 you get $200, and then between 2 and 3 you get $750, and then between 3 and 4 you get, $270, whatever it was. So every single one of these steps is not exactly at the median plus 7. Some are a touch below, some are a touch more, so that we can maintain the integrity of the amounts between steps. And you can see that it goes up where it starts in the range of 400, and then it goes up to about 800, and then it's up to 13 or 1400 by the time we get to your highly tenured folks at 16, 17, 18 plus years. And so across the board, this would make us far more competitive. The percentage increase you see is not necessarily, it's actually a little bit short of what our teachers would see. That is simply the mathematical calculation looking at the difference and the percentage difference in the step itself from year to year. Of course, our employees would be moving up a step. So this does not mean that the 29 moving to 30 is going to get 20.22%. That would actually be a little bit more. The 20.22 is comparing the $73,000 and change that Orange currently pays at step 30 to our proposed $87,867. So across the board, this is somewhere in the range of 16 to 17% on average across the board for our teachers. This is a long time coming. This is really a first step to getting us where we should be. I couldn't be prouder of our educators who spoke to why this is important from the human level, from the level of I'm not going to have in a few years enough Bree Hoovers and Michael Howies and John Ivywoods and Mary Somars to go around to help our new folks learn what to do, because they're going to go somewhere else. And that's just the reality that we face. Currently, we have just a shade over 400 employees that are that are on, you know, a certified teacher contract to some extent, counselors, teachers, whatever it might be, and over 35% of those 400 are on steps 0 through 4. Okay, so you have to let that sink in for a moment. Now, that number is also a little bit misleading because within the last few years, we have hired individuals, and this is part of our strategic planning, who are military retirees. And so we have folks that are in their first handful of years teaching, but they are on a higher step because we were trying to recruit and retain. So we were starting those folks on step 10 or step 11, whatever it might have been, although their teaching experience is step 0. So when I say it's 35, just a shade under 36%, it's actually more than that because it is skewed by our efforts to recruit outside of industry. Again, if we hire an HVAC teacher who was 30 years in the industry, we're not going to start him or her at step 0. So they're going to show up on step 30. Okay. However, their teaching experience at a high school is step 0. And so when we say 35%, more than 35% of our teacher workforce is in steps 0 through 4, that's actually a low number. Right? And so that underscores the importance of this move.
Head custodian, 18, secretary, 18, custodian, 16.
Thank you. Okay, so head custodian, $18, up to starting salary to $18 an hour, custodian to $16 an hour, and building level secretary to $18 an hour. Okay, and those groups are currently, the building secretaries and the custodians are both currently less than $15 an hour.
Secretaries are $14.23.
23 cents. Yeah. Okay. So these two slides show you where we want to attack steps 0 through 15 and then steps 16 through 30. Moving forward, we have, I will tell you, in future budgets, starting next year, the first step is to get the teacher pay scale corrected. Things we need to look at is what our stipend is for masters. We need to start including bachelor's plus 15 with a stipend. Masters plus 30. We need to start considering paying 2 stipends for our employees that have 2 master's degrees. There's only so much of the apple that we can bite off in 1 year, but just so you can see the thinking, we have to become more competitive. The culture and climates in our building have to be requisite to the pay scale. Right now, we are burning the candle at both ends to make our buildings the best possible places they can be. And the pay scale isn't matching up to those efforts. These 2 slides show you where we want to go with our masters, what that pay scale would be, where we would like to go with our instructional assistants, and then, of course, you just heard where we'd like to make our starting salaries for some of our least well-compensated employees. As far as state revenue, this is where you will notice some changes from the previous presentation. In particular, you will see that when we spoke a few weeks back, our ask from the county was going to be somewhere in the range of $6.9 million. Now that we have seen an additional infusion of state funds, I will caveat that is all based on the state budget as it sits at this moment is signed into law by the governor, and all or portions of it are not vetoed and then sent back for conference work to see what ultimately comes out. So this is based on the calc tool that in the state of Virginia as it stands on March 18th, 2025. And so with the increase in state funding means that there is a decrease in our ask from the county level. What would be also beneficial is that if we don't have a 15% health insurance increase, that also reduces those expenditures, and and so that can be a reduction in the revenue that we have to seek as well. Moving through SOQ programs, all the additional state funding that we got is Lisa has all of this included into the particular buckets of funding where they fall in, whether it's basic aid, whether it's group life, whether it's the at-risk add-on, whether it's an incentive program. That $1 million and change is all incorporated into these slides here. So you have state revenue for SOQs. Go ahead, Laura. We have incentive programs. We have categorical funding. We have our lottery-funded programs. This page remains unchanged. This is our forecast for federal revenues. And then as we go to our other local, again, this is where you have a slight reduction in the number that we're requesting from the general fund. And so if we have the totals for the total revenues and then the operating expenses, this is the operating revenues, where are they coming from? And you can see where it breaks out from the federal and the state, the locality, as well as lease proceeds, which is our bus lease, as we have for 3 years for FY 24, 25, and the anticipated for 26. Then we break out our expenditures. Where is the breakdown going to go? With 70.8% going to instruction. Keep on rolling, Laura. Where you have for administration, health, and attendance, transportation, maintenance, the fund transfer, technology, and then we should have total operating expenses and by function where they're going, and then a pie chart to show the information in a little bit different way as a visual. And then when we come back, we have, again, unchanged, our capital budget, the debt service, which includes the 3 performance contracts, the FY23 bus purchase, which is now covered and done, and the new bus purchase that we'll be picking up. And again, the increase there is twofold. One, buses are more expensive in FY26 than they were the previous year, and we are seeking 8 buses as opposed to 7. If you have any additional questions about that, Mr. Sarver will be easily able to answer those questions. Moving forward to the food service budget, again, we want to make sure that our food service employees are able to start and not be under the $15 an hour. So there is an effort here to look and dip into the fund balance to make sure that our employees are compensated appropriately. The required efforts we have to make on the textbook fund and the textbook budget. What we have for transfer, the fund balance is in there, as well as what we're required from operating. This is information that I think Heidi pretty much just shared with you. The Head Start budget and portions of the grant, our adult education budget, which is our Precept program, which is housed primarily at Locust Grove Middle School. And then a slide that shows you all of the funds together, broken out by state, federal, county, local, transfers, fund balance, and a final chart showing you where the expenses are set to go. And so we are hoping and seeking your support tonight for this budget.
Thank you, Dr. Horning.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any
Thank you.
questions?
No questions.
No?
Any questions?
I don't have a question, but could I make a comment?
Well, you know I'm going to pick.
I read a fascinating report today that I did not know, and it speaks to this directly in my view. We keep hearing about teacher shortages. We don't have enough teachers. We can't get teachers in our classrooms. This is what I read. Virginia has 169,649 licensed teachers. Virginia needs 95,000 teachers to staff all of our schools. So that means there are nearly 75,000 teachers licensed in Virginia who are not in the classroom. Why? That's why, or at least that's part of why. I think there are a lot of factors, and some of our teachers referenced that. But we cannot continue to be, as somebody said, how you worded it.
The developmental league.
Thank you. Yes. Right. For all of the counties around us, and our teachers deserve it. Our students deserve it. I hope our Board of Supervisors agrees that they deserve it, and I'd like to see this go forward.
Thank you, Ms. Dawson.
I'm just going to say a couple of quick things. I want to commend Dr. Hornick and the executive team. Just a fantastic job. Absolutely. Way to understand what the priorities are, which is educating our young people. That is the job. That is the job. And we can't continue in this vicious cycle of 20 new teachers every year. We cannot continue. So tremendous job, Dr. Hornick, understanding what the priorities are, and the entire executive team. And then the final comment to the teachers that are sitting in here, hang in there. We're fighting for you. We are. We appreciate you and understand. Most of you know my 3 children went through this school system, and we're going to push and push and push and push and try to get it done. That being said, it would be my honor to make the motion.
May I make a comment before you make your motion, please? Please ask me questions. I'm like you, I have a comment. First of all, I would like everyone to be aware of the tremendous effort that Dr. Hornick took to ensure we were able to do this in a fair manner. The adjustments to both the salary schedules were taken into consideration so that everyone received some level of incentive, some level of extra salary that is going to help you to show our respect for the amazing work that you do with our students, but also to put us into, and you, into a place where you are competitive with other divisions within the state or within the local area. In addition to that, I'd also like you to look at slide number 25. And I just want to have you look at this because I want you to realize the amount, the percentage of the operating expenses that really go directly to teachers and to students versus administrative other things, other pieces that we have to comply with and have to support operating expenses. But this district, this division under Dr. Hornick's leadership has worked hard to make sure that he is able to show you the level of the respect. Unfortunately, we have not realized competitive salary increases in this county for many years. We're there now. We're going to be competitive, and we're going to continue to advocate for each of your ability to excel within your salaries so that you do have that time at home with your family and your kids, and you do have that work-life balance available to you. But number one, so that you provide the students that you teach with the strength and the effort and the care and the compassion that they deserve, so that it's not just ABCs, it's life skills also. So I want to thank you, everyone that works for us. Hopefully we'll be able to continue increasing this over the time, but this again is just tremendous when I think of this compared to the process that I'm used to going through in a collective bargaining environment. Dr. Hornick hit it all. He really hit it all. He's got your health care cost benefits covered for you, maybe even put a little bit of that away so we can pay it forward to something else that's more necessary if we don't realize that 15% increase. But what he did and what his staff did, please know how much he respects your teaching abilities, how much we respect you as part of our students and our families and our community's future and education. And we really appreciate that. Thank you, Dr. Hornick.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Sandy. Well said.
Well said. As I was getting ready to say, it is my honor to make a motion to approve the FY 25-26 budget that is presented to us tonight, sending a message to the surrounding counties. You will not be picking us apart any longer. So,
may I have a second? Second. All those in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Hornick.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. That's a strong signal, and I think everybody in this room is very proud of what happened here this evening. And so now it's onward and upward. So thank you all very much. Next, for recommendations, Lisa, if you'd like to come forward, this is a supplemental appropriation for the needs closet. And I believe this was to reappropriate unspent funds from FY24, correct?
FY24 and some from 23
Okay.
that were not carried. So the total is going to be $8,949.12, and it is for the Needs Closet grant that they will be using that, and you know that's aimed to address issues.
Is there any questions?
I'm sorry, if you said this, I didn't catch it. What is Needs Closet?
It's aimed to address the issue of students facing challenges due to a lack of access to basic necessities.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You were prepared for that question.
Yes, I was, because I looked it up myself.
Very nice.
Would we entertain a motion for this?
I would make a motion to approve this.
I'll second.
All those in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Judy and Monica, if you all would please come forward. We're happy this evening to bring forward some information regarding some student achievement metrics. And we thought that a great place to start would be our K-3 vows, looking at Virginia Literacy Act and the importance of literacy and what we're trying to do, especially at our younger grades. And so, Judy and Monica, I will turn it over to you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hornick. Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. This evening, we just really thank you for the opportunity to share some data regarding our students' progress on VALS, which is the Virginia Literacy, let me repeat that, Virginia Language and Literacy Screening System. It's all a mouthful for sure. But we have some encouraging news to share with you tonight, and we really just want to celebrate the hard work of our students, their teachers, the school leaders, and our families. So we're really happy to share these results with you. Just as a reminder, VALS is our screening system. We had currently been using PALS, which all of you have heard in the past, and this screening system helps us identify our students who are at risk for reading difficulties, and those students receive additional interventions through reading specialists. In our presentation tonight, we're going to share a little more information just to recap some of our previous presentations regarding the purpose of VALS, the assessment components, our current data, and we're going to compare that to our data in the fall and also some of our data from last year, some subgroup data, and then to wrap up, we'd like to share some of the instructional reports that are provided through VALS that really aid our teachers with their decision-making regarding instructional planning, and then recap all of the efforts that have gone into training, professional development, and outside partnerships to support our students. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Monica to talk about the technical aspects of VALS and all the nitty-gritty that goes into this.
So VALS is a snapshot of the critical literacy skills that our students need to become readers. So each assessment is made of subtests, and they assess different skills that students will need to build a foundation. So they're building the foundation to become strong readers. And so with that, in each skill based on grade level. So it moves by grade level need and grade level expectation. So it's based on individual student progress, and there are subtests. So these subtests show teachers what the needs are of students, and if they are identified, we have something to look at to provide and build that foundation. So based on individual students' results on each subtest score and where the subtest falls in the foundational development, a wristband is assigned. And there are 3 wristbands. One is the low risk, the middle is moderate risk, and then high risk for reading difficulty.
They literally get a wristband?
No, we don't want them to wear a wristband with their identification on it.
Not wrist.
Risk.
Oh, I-
Risk. Risk.
Oh, like, wait a minute.
Risk.
Risk.
Oh, my goodness.
And so you saw the timeline for where we are.
Think of what color I would get.
Southern accent there. So you saw the timeline that we're in the full implementation this year. We participated in the soft launch. And so this year we have full implementation with K3. And we've participated in the pilot for the grades 4-5. We will not have a soft launch for grades 4 through 8. We will be moving straight into full implementation, which is where the state has us, and that's based on the Virginia Literacy Act. Then we went into what does VALS measure, and the first part is code-based, and that is the ability to read words on the page. And then the code-based skills are what is used in order to give the students that risk band that and tell us what their needs are, what their overall needs are. And then the language section is the ability to make meaning. And so in that section, it's read aloud to students. And what we want to know is if they have the ability to make meaning. So we're taking off the part of them having to read, because if a student is struggling, we won't be able to decide what's causing that. So we want to know, do they have the ability? And then look at the foundation. And so at the bottom, it's RAN, which is Rapid Automized Naming, and that examines their processing speed. And that is used to show us the potential for becoming a struggling reader. So as they move up, that would tell us just watch that student and make sure they stay on target where they need to be. Your turn.
Now we're going to take a look at our students, the percentage of students in each of the grades and the level of risk for each of those. So you'll see on the left in the fall the percentage of students that were at low risk, moderate risk, and high risk. And of course, we want all of our students to be at low risk for developing reading difficulties. And then to the right, you see the gains that have been made by mid-year. So you see a really nice increase there in kindergarten from roughly 25% of students at low risk to 61% at low risk. So we're very excited to see that. And then, of course, the moderate risk band, also a lower percentage there, as well as in high risk, because those students are moving up in their skills. So you're going to see a series of these for each of the grades. They'll be laid out similarly. VALS also provides these broken down by subgroup. This is very important because we want to make sure that all of our students are learning. And we also are accountable at grades 3 through 5 through the federal requirements that our students are achieving in each of the subgroups to meet the benchmarks that are set. So we take a look at this, but more importantly at the schools, they follow the same process and take a look at their groups of students and then basically drill down to individual students and look at what interventions need to be put in place for those students in order to improve their skills. Very similar in first grade, seeing our low-risk students, a larger percentage of those students moving into that category in winter, very similar to what we saw in kindergarten. So some nice gains there. And then Monica is going to go over the second and third grade in just a bit. So looking at first grade, we did see a few groups that stood out. Our English learners, for example, we have a pretty significant higher percentage of students who are at the high risk. So those are students, of course, who are learning the language and also, facing some greater struggles in terms of being able to exhibit the skills that are required through VALS. And now Monica will prepare the same series of information for second and third for you.
So in second and third grade, you're going to see a smaller percentage move. We have good movement in moderate risk moving to low risk, but our high risk is showing smaller. And so thinking about that foundation, moderate risk students may have a crack in a foundation. If you think about a house or a building's foundation, they may have a crack. And so we just need to fill that crack and put the pieces together. However, high risk may have actually a chunk missing, and they may have multiple chunks missing. So we actually have to really spend time, and they stay like in a lower foundational skill because you move to the bottom of the lowest foundational skill and keep building. So lowest foundational skill would be identifying letters and letter sounds. So we have to move to those areas and continue to build. So it takes longer to build. So therefore, our movement from high risk into moderate and then into low takes longer. So that's why when you look at the numbers, high risk is that movement is less percentage, whereas kindergarten, it moves faster because their foundation, we're building that. And so if they come to school and they have less, it's easier to put that into place for them because they just have those basic skills that we're working on. We're not looking at all the other components. And so then in third grade, and then you have the subgroups again. And then the third grade and again, thinking about third graders, they've been struggling and needing to fill those gaps. So the gaps get wider as they move and continue to struggle. And so those chunks that are missing when they're high risk become harder to put in and so to fill in. And so it just takes longer. But we did have great movement from our moderate risk into low risk. So that movement is there. But looking at high risk, it's lower. So we anticipate after a year of having intervention that our high risk would make movements into moderate risk.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the English language learner subgroup is higher, and it's hard to judge English language learners. At the district level, we would actually have to go into the school level, and principals would have the information of, and looking at those 12 students, are they newcomers? Are they, where are they in their movement in learning the English language or coming into learning the English language? Because of course, a student that's brand new, we're building vocabulary at the time and not necessarily oral vocabulary and visual and working on the basic foundational skills with them.
And this slide just provides an overall look of the data that we've just shared with you. So you can see for the low risk, we're seeing some nice gains in each grade level of students moving into low risk band. And then, of course, seeing drops in our number of students who are in the high risk band and moderate risk band. Just lets you look at all of the grades at once. We also did a comparison to where our students are right now mid-year this year compared to where they were at the end of last year. And you can see that we have a higher percentage of students who are considered in the low risk band at this point in each of these grades than we did at the end of last year. So we think that's very encouraging that students are already, we're already past where we were last year, we could say. So we're looking for some significant gains by end of year, as Monica said. And so we've broken this down for each of the risk bands. So next we'll take a look at moderate, and there you can just see the difference as well. And that one is a little bit harder to judge because those are the students that are in the middle. But again, we're seeing, a lower percentage of students at each grade level because students have moved into low risk, which is where we want them to be. And then finally, the high risk, where we would like to see decreases in the number of students who are in that band, and you're seeing it's pretty similar to the end of last year or looking better than last year. So, and then Monica's going to talk a little bit about the kinds of reports that are provided to our teachers to help them with their instructional decision-making and delivery to students.
So this report is the student summary, but that's also very similar to what parents receive as well. So it's giving the the overall scores and showing the student score and then what the max score is on the assessment. It gives the wristband. And there's also a paper that goes with this explaining what each one of the components are and what wristbands mean. So if parents can't come to parent-teacher conference, then they do get an explanation letter that goes with that. And so the teachers can also use that. Laura, if you could go to the next one, sorry. This is the class summary. So you're looking at each individual student. Each line is a student. And so you can pull that individual student report, and it's a little bit easier to know where that individual student is and which areas. If you note the asterisk, which is very hard to see because it's very tiny in the corner, that is an identification for a student that subtest is low performing for that student. And so that's where we know for the student reading plan, we have to use any asterisk that a student has. If they're high risk, they have to have a student reading plan, and a goal has to be developed for the bottom two. And then once a student reaches that goal, makes that goal, then we move to the next asterisk area or low performing area. So that's how this report is used. And it also helps teachers know in my class which students can I pull in a group together. So it kind of is that quick shot of these are the students that struggle. Now I have to dive deeper into what they're struggling with and pull those students. So both of these reports are used by teachers.
So just to conclude, we wanted to highlight some of the work that we have done, that we're currently doing, that we'll continue to do to impact our students' literacy instruction and their learning and their ability to read at proficiency. So it's really been a collaborative effort. It requires a lot of teamwork. So that has included training for our teachers that really began 2 years before full implementation according to the Virginia Literacy Act, to make sure that our teachers, were prepared to provide the type of instruction that's required based on the science of reading. We've also provided teacher training on our new instructional materials in language arts, which of course the board approved for us last year. And that training is ongoing. We had a lot of initial training for teachers, but then we've also followed that with coaching this school year that's involved teams in the building working directly with teachers and providing feedback and targeting areas for professional development based on that particular school. And then of course our family partnerships are essential. We have reading plans, as Monica mentioned, we have reading plans for our students who are in the high-risk band. And those plans are developed along with parents with goals set and progress monitoring and updates to parents, and that's essential to our student learning. So that tiered instruction that Monica mentioned, we have that core program and the intervention by our reading specialists, and really preparing our teachers to be able to deliver that, along with the family partnerships, are really why we're able to see the kinds of success that we're seeing so far. And extending that a little bit more, I just want to say thank you to the board for supporting the adoption of this program. I think it's been really effective. We're hearing really good things from teachers and seeing some good results at K-3 with our students. And especially want to thank Dr. Hornick. He has been very supportive of Monica being involved in regional and state organizations where we've just learned a ton about what we should be doing. We've just most recently been able to join a pilot with the Virginia Department of Education. It's a partnership between VDOE and a national program called the New Teacher Project that's allowed us to provide another layer of coaching to our teachers, and we wouldn't be able to do that without your support. So thank you, Dr. Hornick, for providing that. And now we're ready for any questions.
Questions?
Yes. I remember last year when you gave us the first presentation and you were just getting ready to implement it after the pilot program, and you talked a lot about how it was both science-based and really important to have family engagement and partnerships. And so as I'm looking at this, I'm just wondering, you said that the at-risk students get a reading plan, is that correct?
That's correct.
Can you also tell me what we do with our parents for all the other students?
Sure. Do you want to speak to that?
Well, not every student.
Well, in our schools, we do have, all the schools have literacy nights. So they definitely are partnering with parents on what are great practices at home. They've also done a lot of work around here are the current practices that we're using, so you can reinforce that. That actually came out of one of our advisories that parents said, my student said, that's not the way we do it, Mom, anymore, even though she had been doing some certain practices with her older students. So we do that as well. Of course, we have our parent-teacher conferences, and we have really good success with their parents coming out for those at the primary grades. Did you want to add anything for that? Okay.
Thank you. And I also wanted to thank you for showing us or telling us about the difference between in kindergarten, why there was that big, increase versus some of the other grade levels and the pockets in those. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Oh, sure.
Darlene?
Oh, I have lots, but I'll just be quiet. I'm just so excited about this. What we're saying in kindergarten is going to translate.
She
Once
did.
they get that foundation, I'm so excited. This is just wonderful news. So thank you.
So kudos to, I feel like every time you guys speak, I'm saying thank you. But I love pilots. So we're raising our hand every time. And I say to the people in the audience and the people watching, we are extremely blessed and fortunate to have these two leaders represent us when we go to regional conferences, state conferences, and so forth. And we have a seat at the table by getting into these pilot programs. And I love when you guys are there.
Yeah.
Because I know you're fighting for students, just as simple as that. So, and then I just want to connect the dots again for some of the people here and watching. This is a great example. I'm going to tie it back to the budget. So the Virginia Literacy Act, so we've been training teachers, okay? So the teachers we lose, let's hope we don't lose any, but if we lose any, we just trained them.
That's right.
Boy, it hits home. And then we have these two terrific human beings. We have to start over. And to Dr. Hornick's point, 36%, 0 to what, 4? Yes. Yeah. So hopefully we're going to reduce that number, which is going to empower you guys to continue to raise the bar up and up and up. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you both.
We're really grateful for the hard work of our teachers to learn a new program and put the hard work in to deliver that every day for our students and our school leaders as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Thank you, Monica.
You guys are so modest.
All right. Anything else, Dr. Hornick?
No, ma'am. Thank you very much.
All right, we're moving on to board member items, parliamentarian training approval. Ms. Dawson.
All of you have received by email the draft letter with Bill Gilmeister, who is a parliamentarian in Massachusetts. So I'd like to request that we approve moving forward with that, and then at some future point set the date for it to happen. Is that a motion? Is that a formal motion?
Sure, it can be a formal motion.
I move that we approve the parliamentary training.
I second that. All in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
Aye. Right. So whoever didn't reply to the dates needs
Jack.
to do so.
Got to give him a wristband. He forgot. He forgot. Got to put it right here. That's why it's band of risk.
Motion carries. Thank you. The school board norms and protocols.
I guess that's me again.
You or
Or
Sandy?
Sandy, one of us.
Go ahead.
Okay, I was very confused apparently at the last meeting when we did the edited version because I forgot that we approved it. I didn't realize that's what was happening. Anyway, this is the clean version that I would like to now formally adopt. So I make a motion to approve this. School
Second that motion.
norms and protocols.
All those in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Whose was this one?
Yes, so we were asked about the status of stop arm cameras, and so Justin can provide a little insight here. Basically, the long and short of it is we are going to be working closely with our friends across the way at the county level. The focus at the moment is to really get the speed zone cameras up in our school zones, and I can let you go from there, Justin.
That's correct. We have a unique situation for Orange County. Just to give you a little background, this sounds like a wonderful technology, and it is. It's not always met with a great deal of agreement once you start getting other stakeholders involved. So we're in a very unique position where our local sheriff is very engaged in getting this as something for our community. It requires cooperation from law enforcement and also requires cooperation from our local government. Okay. The reason we have to have cooperation with local government is because they have to pass an ordinance. The whole process is a 12 to 18 month window. If we allow ourselves to follow the current plan, get their system up and running, we have fairly good confidence that we're going to be able to make an addition to the ordinance and implement the program, hopefully even in time for the next school year. So my goal is to come with a recommendation if we need to take any action sometime in the midsummer. That should give the Sheriff's Office program a few months to operate, get some more buy-in from the community.
What we would like to do is utilize the same vendor.
Yes, using the same vendor keeps the Sheriff's Office bought in. If we go out and do an RFP for this product ourselves, we could end up with a different vendor. What then has to happen is we also have to re-engage the Sheriff's Office or all the other law enforcement entities, because they're still going to have to verify each citation, which creates additional work if they're not on the same platform. So there's some tremendous benefits to making it a little easier for the stakeholders involved. So, hope to have some formal updates. As soon as I have it, I will get it on the agenda for you.
We appreciate it. Thank you so much for the update.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sarver.
All right. Moving on. Is there any future agenda items?
Yes, ma'am. I would like to, when will be the next best board meeting to bring the Youth Council's vaping resolution forward so that they are able to go forward and meet with the Board of Supervisors and request their support?
31st.
Okay.
And then Mr. Price will also have on the 31st a student presentation from the high school as well. So a student leader will be back. So.
Thank you.
Any others? Nope. All right. Nope. All right. Moving on to board member comments. Anybody else have any other comments they would like to make before I proceed? So I'm coming to you tonight with some kind of devastating news, both from the board's perspective and then also personally from a board member. This is a memo from Ms. Quintern. She says, "Good evening, everyone. I want to take a moment to express my heartfelt gratitude for the support and trust you have extended to me over the past 3 years. Emerging from the pandemic, my goal was to empower parents to have a greater voice in their children's upbringing and education. I aim to foster transparency and encourage more opportunities for dialogue, engagement, and collaboration. It has been a privilege to serve on this board. As I reflect on my time here, I am proud of the strides we've made together. I have complete confidence in this board's ability to continue our progress. With their oversight and Dr. Hornick and his cabinet's leadership, I am excited to see just how exceptional OCPS will become. Regrettably, I am unable to deliver this message in person, as my son is currently undergoing serious medical treatment. Family must come first, and I need to devote my time to his care and healing in the coming months. It is with a heavy heart that I step down, but I trust that the board will find a worthy successor to carry on our mission. We are OC." Sincerely, Chelsea Quinter. I don't know. That was tough to read. Thank you all for listening. I believe we are past number 12, correct? We don't have anything else.
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Okay. Thank you all for this evening. There's nothing else. I'll adjourn this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.